بعد وبالأسانيد المتصل مني إلى الإمام البخاري رضي الله تعالى عنه قال. Last week, the last chapter we were on was on the dua of the parents. So I'll just repeat the hadith quickly. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثلاث دعوات مستجابات لهن لا شك فيهن دعوة المظلوم ودعوة المسافر ودعوة الوالدين على ولدهما. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mentions in this hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there are three du'as which are accepted. There is no doubt in their acceptance. Number one, the du'a, the plea, the cry of the oppressed. When someone is oppressed, when someone is bullied, right now in England in schools we're doing anti-bullying week. So this week is anti-bullying week. Islam was at the forefront of anti-bullying. Any sense of dhulm, Islam came to eradicate. Islam came to establish justice, equality, fairness, these virtues which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam promoted, himself established, and himself was a source of. So whenever anyone who is oppressed in whatever shape or form, physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, or even in a cyberspace, online, cyberbullying, anyone who's oppressed in any way, in whatever form, if they were to cry out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever cry they make, the ulama write that it is not necessary for them to even be for the person who's oppressed, for their cry, that person has to be a Muslim. There's a difference of opinion. One of the opinions is that even if a non-Muslim is being oppressed and they cry out to their Creator, to the one and only Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their plea will be accepted. Number two, da'watul musafir, whenever a person is on a journey. Last week I mentioned the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, السفر قطعة من العذاب يمنع وحدكم نومه وطعامه وشرابه كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. That safar, traveling, is like a form of punishment because it prevents you from your sleep, from your eating, from your drinking. So when a person is in this state, whatever dua they make, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is even more intense, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately answers their prayer. Rasulullah said, La shakka fi, there is no doubt in their dua has been accepted whatsoever. And the third is da'watul walidaini ala waladihima, the dua of the parents upon their children. Whether, now generally, ala has been used here, generally can also mean any negative du'as made, any bad du'as made. So for example, if the parent is sad, upset, hurt, and any du'a that comes out of their heart, it is immediately accepted. That's why my Sheikh would say that, we find people going from here to there asking people for du'a, but the greatest source of du'a that we have within our own homes is our parents. We want the dua accepted. Let us go and ask our parents for dua. Whenever we need any help, whenever we're going through any difficulty, the first direction we should turn to for seeking du'as should be from our parents. And also a lesson from this for parents is whether your children ask of you or don't ask of you, let your du'as be there for them. Give your children dua. It is your good du'as that will give them the goodness. Whatever physical, financial efforts that we try in this worldly life, it doesn't compare to the du'as that a parent can give to their child. The extent and the power of that is unfathomable. Rasulullah himself has said, La shakka fihim, there is no doubt in them being accepted. So let us try and earn the du'as of our parents. Now, our Sheikh Maulana Saifur Rahman from Makkah al-Mukarramah, just on his recent trip, he was one of the key areas that he was giving advices regarding was the three types of parents a person has. A person will have their physical, biological parents from whom they were the source of coming to in this world. So they are referred to as their parents. And sometimes if a person's in care or there's been marital changes, and they might have step-parents also that maybe fall under this category. But generally, number one, you have your biological parents. Number two, you have your in-laws. So when the person gets married, then they also have another set of parents. They have the similar rights as your biological parents, they have the same standing as your biological parents. And then you have a third category, which are your spiritual parents. Your spiritual father is that being, or that person, that teacher of yours, that sheikh of yours, through whom you learnt knowledge, from whom you learnt any type of knowledge whatsoever. They are regarded as your spiritual parents. And in certain scenarios, the superiority of your spiritual parents is far higher than the standing of your biological and your in-laws parents. Nonetheless, this is a long discussion amongst the ulama, but the reason is because through your physical parents, your biological parents, they brought you in the world, they brought you up, they nurtured you, but there was a motive there. Whereas when it comes to ruhaniyah, your spirituality and your spiritual parents, your sheikh, your teacher, then that is the being that connects you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nonetheless, this is a very lengthy discussion which we do not aim to go on today. Nonetheless, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's point of this hadith here is that we seek du'as from our parents, because that is a very great source of acceptance in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next chapter, باب بر الوالدين بعد موتهما. عن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رجلا قال يا رسول الله إن أمي توفيت ولم توصي أفينفعها أن نتصدق عنها؟ قال نعم. Imam Bukhari brings the chapter regarding and relating to being dutiful to our parents after they pass away. So Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he says that a person came to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, my mother has passed away and she did not give me any wasiyah or any instruction in regards to what to do with the remaining money, how much to give in charity, what to give in charity. If I was to give charity on her behalf, will that benefit her?" Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Na'am, yes." Now, so when a parent or anyone who we have, any loved one that we lose, that passes away, there are generally 4 ways in which a person can benefit them. Number 1, a person can make dua for them, whether that be at the point of janazah or any other time when a person passes away, they make dua for them. That dua benefits the deceased. Number 2, by doing istighfar, seeking forgiveness on their behalf, asking Allah to forgive them. That's why when someone says, may Allah when someone passes away, say, may Allah grant them maghfirah, may Allah grant them forgiveness, may Allah forgive them. So this is also something that can benefit the deceased after their a'mal have ceased. Number 3, by fulfilling their oaths. So whatever oaths, promises, debts they had left in this world, if you fulfill them for them after they have passed away in this world, that benefits them. They are no longer held to account for that. And the 4th one, which is a very important one, is to be kind and dutiful and respectful and loving to Ahl Wudd Abi. Something which is, when your parents were alive, those people that they used to keep relations with, keep friends with, their friends, their relations, those people who they honored, they loved, they used to enjoy their company. You saw them throughout their lives being happy and being connected to these people. Whoever was connected to your parents, after they leave this world, you then connect, you then show that same love, you then show that relation to them. So that's a source of consolation for yourself also, and for that friend or colleague or relation of your parent also. And so, when a person passes away, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inqata anhu amaluhu illa min thalath." A person's deeds cease to exist, or the book of deeds are closed now, except 3 things: sadaqatun jariyah, aw ilmun yuntafa'u bih, aw waladun salihun yad'u lah. 3 things. Number 1, sadaqah jariyah, a charity that they had either established themselves or was established for them, that continues. The effects of that and the benefit of that continues even after they have passed away. It's continuing. So, for example, they made the masjid. Every time someone prays salah, they give some money to charity. Through that, some Qurans were printed. A well was dug. Whatever acts of goodness, however someone benefited, and it's continuous. It's a flowing charity. It's a continuous charity. That is what is known as sadaqah jariyah. Reward is continuing non-stop. Every single time someone is benefiting, either in this world or in the next life, from that is known as sadaqah jariyah. So anyone who plays Quran on someone's behalf, anyone who gives charity on someone's behalf, anyone does any ibadah apart from farad. We cannot do farad ibadat. Anything other than farad, so any nafil, any sunan, any extra involuntary practices a person can do, if a person makes the intention for the reward to go to the deceased, they will get the full reward, and the person carrying that action out also will get the full reward. Number two, ilm yuntafa'u bih. They left behind some knowledge. They wrote some books. They taught some people. They taught some children. They taught some students. And that knowledge they passed on to them. That knowledge, people are benefiting from that. They are now teaching their students. They are now teaching their students. Or they have written a book, and that book is from that book. People are benefiting, and people are gaining knowledge. People are gaining wisdom. People are gaining spirituality. They're benefiting in this world and in the next life. So that is ilm yuntafa'u bi. That is that knowledge from which benefit is being taken. That too is a source of benefit to the deceased, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained. And the third one, which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained, waladun salihun yad'u. This relates to this hadith here and what we're talking about here. When the parents leave behind a pious child, yad'u lah, that makes dua for them. So if we make an effort on the spirituality of our children in this world, then when we leave this world, they will be the ones who make dua for us, and that is what will benefit us in our graves. So this is repaying back our parents even after they have passed away. Now, what are these discussions under this? There's a narration in which a person who was undutiful or was not fulfilling the rights of his parents in their life and they passed away, now they want to benefit them. So if they were to give sadaqah on their behalf, do isal al-thawab on their behalf, then they will be written as being dutiful to their parents, even though their past had been contrary to that. So if you want to make amends with your parents, but they are no longer alive, and you regret what actions you did in your early life, then it doesn't matter. You can do some, it's not all gloom. You should do istighfar and tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then after that, we can do some isal al-thawab, do some a'mal, give some charity. And through that, we make dua for them, and we make dua that the reward of these actions go to them. That's how a person can be dutiful to their parents ba'da mawtihim, after they have passed on from this world. The next chapter, bab, لا يسمي رجل أباه ولا يجلس قبله ولا يمشي أمامه. This is a athar. If you remember, I mentioned a few weeks ago a difference between a hadith and an athar. This is the athar of Abu Hurairah رضي الله تعالى عنه. حدثنا هشام بن عروة عن أبيه أو غيره أن أبا هريرة أبصر رجلين فقال لأحدهما ما هذا منك؟ فقال أبي. فقال لا تسمه باسمه ولا تمشي أمامه ولا تجلس قبله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. So Abu Hurairah رضي الله تعالى عنه, whose name was Abd al-Rahman ibn Sakhr, he, a very close companion to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was fortunate to spend a lot of time in his company, and has many hadith narrated from Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says, it is narrated about him that he saw two people walking. There were two men walking. So he asked them, who is this person to you? So the man said, ما هذا؟ فقال أبي, this is my father. فقال لا تسمي به اسمه لا تسميه باسمه ولا تمشي أمامه ولا تجلس قبله. Three advices that Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala gave to this tabi'i, you could say, this person who was a follower of the generation of the Sahaba, because by the apparent hadith it seems as though this was a tabi'i, so someone who was young, because he was in the generation after. And so he said to him, Abu Hurairah gave him three advices. لا تسميه باسمه, never call your father by his name. If your father's name is Khalid, then don't say, oh, Khalid, listen, Khalid. No, never say your parents' names. That is very disrespectful. No one should be calling their parents by their names. Call them mother, call them father, call them the light of your eyes, call them whatever you want to call them that is respectful and loving, but you could call them in mummy, papa, mother, father, ammi, abba, abuya, whatever, mama, baba, whatever you find is a respectful way of addressing your parents in the culture that we may be from, but we should never call our parents by their name. This was the first advice Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu gave. Number two, لا تمشي أمامه. Out of respect for your parents, don't even walk in front of them. Nowadays, generally, whether it's your parents or I was talking earlier about your spiritual parents, also your teachers, your mashayikh. There's a pious person. There's a teacher that you have benefited from, or you have learned from, or there's your sheikh. You shouldn't ever walk in front of them. Similarly, your parents, you should never ever walk in front of them. Only, for example, there is something you need to do in front of them for that reason. If you're walking together, you're walking side by side, don't make sure that you're not in front of them. We saw this with our Shaykh Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Mutala rahmatullahi alayh, when his teacher Shaykh Yunus rahmatullahi alayh would come and he'd be walking alongside him with the Shaykh Yunus would be on the wheelchair, but Hazrat would always be one step directly behind. He would never be in the same line or in front, unless he needed to assist in putting the wheelchair forward. So unless you need to do something, you need to go forward to open the door to get their shoes or do something important. But if you're just walking casually, a person shouldn't walk in front of their parents out of respect for them. They should rather walk with them or behind them. And the third thing, وَلَا تَجْلِسْ قَبْلَهُ. If, for example, you're in a gathering, you entered a room, you're going to sit at someone's house, or you're about to sit to eat, wherever you may be, whatever scenario you may be, we should let the elders sit first, let your parents sit first, and then we sit. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me the ability to act upon this on every single one of us. So, these are the three precious advices that Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu had given. And last but not least, the final hadith in this chapter relating to parents is هل يكني أباه. Should a person give a nickname, or if there's a name that they are known by, can they call them by that name? Is it permissible? And Shahr ibn Hawshab قال خرجنا مع ابن عمر. Shahr ibn Hawshab says, we went out with Ibn Umar, we were with him. فقال له سالم الصلاة يا أبا عبد الرحمن. Salim said to Ibn Umar, الصلاة يا أبا عبد الرحمن. That Salim said to Ibn Umar, that he called him by his kunya, which is Abu Abdul Rahman. The time of Salah has come. Oh, Abu Abdul Rahman, it is time for Salah. You may. So he called him not by his name, and he didn't say, but rather he called him by the kunya. Similarly, an Ibn Dinar, Bukhari, I believe, has mentioned this. قال ابن عمر. So Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma also, regarding his father Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, he didn't say him, but call him by his name directly. Rather, he said Abu Hafs Umar, the kunya of his father Umar, Abu Hafs. So Ibn Umar also, this is to show it's permissible to, if need be, you don't have to, but if need be, you can use a kunya as long as it's not a disrespectful term. So any term that, like I mentioned in the previous hadith, any term that is not disrespectful to call your parents with, it's permissible to use. Anything which can be deemed, whether Islamically or whether even culturally, in your urf, in your what is known in your society and in your community as degrading, if you use that to call your parents, then that is disrespectful, that is sinful. Anything that is not degrading, that is rather can be used or proven to be an element of respect, whether culturally, whether in a societal level, whether in a community level, or whether Islamically also. If it's going to be respectful, you can use those terms to address your parents. If not, we should refrain from using those terms, and never ever, like Abu Hurairah said, the first advice he gave, never ever call your parents by their first name, by their name. Don't call your parents by their name. This is the lesson from these teachings of Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and the various group of Sahaba who were nurtured. Their character building was done directly by our beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's it for today. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi.